Good afternoon. Welcome to another facetious version of Diatribes from the Voice of Doom. Now here's your fecund and feral host, Voice of Doom. George Crumb. Another 20th century composition. I don't know the year. I believe it was probably in the 50s. Called The Moon is Dead. La Luna está muerte. Anyway, just give you a few snippets of 20th century serious music, I call it. I didn't do another diatribe this afternoon. I'm not very drunk. Have to go to work. I'll give you an update on the microcosm and some factoids and snippets of information from the macrocosm. Not much going on, but things should be going on. Microcosm, well, my kid is improving. Things are going to get better, because once he gets into the patterns of doing certain things, he will continue to do those things. So that's one good thing. Just have to guide him toward being responsible. That's his main problem. I have to go to an employee meeting tomorrow at 9:45 in the morning. I have to get up at 8:30, drive down 17 miles to work, and then drive back, and then go down again for my shift at 4. And I hate employee meetings, and this one's going to be even worse because it's going to be one-on-one. And I've been working at this particular restaurant when most of the people that I'm working with were in high chairs. And I have to listen to them lecture me on how to do my job. And be told that I could do better, and be told that I'm average and mediocre, and that couldn't be farther from the truth, because I'm an amazing person. Absolutely amazing, because I will tend bar, I will deliver the drinks, I will bus, I will help with the dishwasher, and then when I have downtime, I play piano. And when I'm playing piano, I can sometimes make as much tips playing for a half hour to 45 minutes throughout the night as I do with my regular job. So to say I'm amazing is an understatement. To say I'm an excellent worker would be to downplay and minimize my capabilities. But I am going to go to the meeting, and instead of being my usual, which I would be normally through the last 50 years of working, I would be indignant. I would turn the tables on whoever's giving me my assessment, and I would turn it around, become very, very annoyed, indignant, and I'd say, I'm out of here. But I'm not going to do that, because I'm older and wiser, and I'm going to just listen to what they have to say and accept the fact that I'm a failure, accept the fact that I have a long way to go to learn how to do my job, and accept it with aplomb and dignity. That's how I'm improving myself a little bit. I'm not going to go off the handle and make snarky remarks about how you were in middle school when I started this job, not when I was born, when I started working. When I started this restaurant, you were in middle school. And now you're telling me how to do things. Okay. I like the people at work. I really do. So that's why I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. And they don't mean any harm. Go through some snippets of snafulery. strategic oil price drop. Okay. I noticed that the price of gas has gone down about 50 cents in the last week in little increments, but going down. And I noticed that Petri dish was releasing more oil from the strategic oil reserve. That's the only way we're going to keep supply up, because we don't want to drill it anymore, and we can't get it from any of our enemies. They won't sell it to us. Dag nab them. Utter fiends. But he announced the strategic oil withdrawal, and immediately the price went down. So it's kind of like things just happen automatically, like, oh, he released more oil, let's lower the price. Or could it be supply and demand, or is it just a ploy to try to get people to perceive that the prices are going down with gas, which is a major thing with people, because you see it every day. I look at the sign every day and see where it's going. And they got to time their little presents and their little trinkets that they throw at us right before the election. They got to time it correctly, because otherwise it might go up again. So I think they got off a little early. They shot their wad a bit early, because in the next week or two it'll go up again, right as people are going to the polls. Now people are early voting. They pray for early voting, because the quicker you get your vote in, the quicker you won't be affected by whatever idiocy they do. I just noticed that there's immediate, reaction in the gas station when Petrie does something stupid. Immediate reaction in the stock market. It always goes down 900 points whenever the CPI came in, 8% inflation year over year, whatever. Stock market plunges 800, 900, 1,000 points on the bad news. Goes up 1,000 points over the next week. So why bother selling your stock when you know it's going to go up anyway? Unless you're playing derivatives and you just take advantage of the fluctuations. So I noticed that. They react like, hey, I'll sell all my stocks now because the price of eggs went up 20%. Some, unemployment, the employment report, or the CPI, which I don't believe any of that anyway. But then it goes up anyway. It's been going up all week. It's back up to where it was before it dropped 1,000 points over the last news. I don't know, cattlemen and ranchers are kind of fed up with being shut up, and they're being told not to talk about anything. I just saw this guy, is a Lonesome Lands podcast. Just happened to see it on my feed, so I looked at it, and 4 packers control 85% of the meat packing industry, which means that if they want to, they can create a ruckus through monopoly. 75% of the feedlots, of the smaller feedlots in America, have gone out of biz in the last 20 years. So they can't feed their cattle. They can only feed the cattle off the pasture land, and they feed the calves. That's what I get from this guy. It's not interesting, but I think it has something to do with this food shortage we're about to have, because I think a lot of it's created, and I think a lot of other people do too, and they will be lambasted as disinformers, because nothing could be further from the truth. There will be plenty of food in the winter, not to worry. Don't worry about any of those things happening. Now, I saw this Domestic Terrorism Act debate, and as fiery and bombastic as Chip Roy and Marjorie Taylor Greene might be, they're not that effectual. I listen to their ranting, and I can do better. First of all, domestic terrorism is linked with white supremacy to the D's. They want to put this through, I don't know how much money it is, probably about $400 billion to fund stopping these horrible domestic terrorist white supremacists. They never say domestic terrorists without saying white supremacy, because they want to make it clear who they're going after. They're not going after the criminals that rage through the cities. They're not going after any Antifa or BLMs that had their righteous anger and killed a bunch of people and burned down a bunch of cities. They're not going to go after them. That's actual domestic terrorism, but that's not what they want to go after. Now, let us allocate from the public coffers $400 billion to study the sex life of albino penguins. All right. We have the $400 billion, we're ready to go. We have a team of experts. We have all the scientists we need. We can't find any albino penguins. How are we going to study their sex life? Well, we'll just have to use that $400 billion for something else, like white supremacy. Giving that money to the FBI so they can hire 87,000 more people so that they can audit everybody in America and squeeze every last dime out of them before the dollar totally goes bad. So I was noticing that. What else did I see in the news? AOC is kind of having a hard time of it with her own peeps because she's not the peacenik progressive that she made herself out to be. When it comes to this Ukraine business, she is towing the line, and the line is Zelensky is the greatest hero of the 21st century, possibly in history, and Ukraine is a oppressed country that needs America's help, otherwise we will face more trouble. If the Ruskies take Ukraine, they will simply take other countries. It's like the domino effect in Vietnam. We have to stop it here. Let's give them $40 billion. And then that hero, that green-clad Kazakhstaner, whatever he's from, Zelensky gets on the old tube and says, well, thanks, but we need more money. We need money for you to help us balance our budget. Now, the irony of that, think of it, it's not lost on anybody. I mean, he wants more arms, he wants more infrastructure, and he also wants us to balance Ukraine's budget, and we're probably going to do it. And no one's going to say boo about it. So AOC is taking a lot of heat, and she handles it well. She could rush off crying, rush off the stage in tears, or she could scream back at people, but she just kind of goes along and dances along with their chants against her. She kind of makes it look like she's just kind of soft pedaling and making fun of the people, just mocking them. But it's better than running off in tears. Now, she wants to remain a congresswoman. She probably wants to be president one day. So she has to toe the line of Pelosi. And Pelosi says we are going full bore into Ukraine. And we will probably go full bore into Taiwan if Petrie says we should. And AOC has to go along. She has to play the political game. She thought she could just get elected as a maverick, as a bartender, and just jump in and change the world. That's pretty naive. So I was amused by that. And the election is growing nigh, and I'm not seeing any disasters that will cause the election to be obfuscated, except for all this early voting, mail-in voting, absentee voting, probably late mail voting. And they're saying that Pelosi's in a bit of a frenzy, but she says she's not, because she says all women in America, their prime issue is reproductive freedom. So all women in America shall vote on that issue and that issue alone. And since the Supreme Court turned Roe back to the states, which changes nothing, they did not codify Roe v. Wade in 50 years because they used the damn thing as a carrot and stick for the idiots. We're going to codify Roe v. Wade. Follow the carrot. We're going to codify it if you elect us. Say for 50 years. They never will codify, never had an intention to codify, because the Democrats are racist. They want people of color to be killed en masse. Abortion is a great way to do it. You don't even have to worry about them growing up to be 8 or 9 years old where they're looting stores. They just get rid of them. Second way, don't go after domestic terrorists in the inner city. Let them kill each other. Go after these imaginary white supremacists. Put all our emphasis on that. I see so many of them too. They're all over the place and they're wreaking absolute havoc. So those were snippets of Skullduggery that I wanted to comment on. I didn't say anything interesting, but I think people will find it enjoyable. Just tying it all together. As things get more toward the election in 18 days, I will do some salient and brilliant, profound diatribes on how we're doomed. So we'll leave it at that. I have to get ready for work and enjoy the day and enjoy what's left of history.